Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining the today's webinar. And today we are hosting our sixth webinar. The guest speaker of today's webinar is Dr. Saurabh Tiwari. So, I have known Sir personally and professionally in both the ways. So, Sir has done his master's from NDRI Karnal, and he had done his bachelor's from Pantnagar. And now he is going to pursue his PhD in University of Calgary in the subject veterinary medicine. He would be receiving the stipend by the university itself, and he had received a lot of offers, some from Japan, some from USA. So he will be discussing about that what you should need to keep in mind while applying for these kinds of opportunities. The main question which is arising in the previous webinar, that if you want to pursue your PhD without a license exam, is it possible or not? So the thing would be more clear today, and Dr. Saurabh sir would be telling about these things, that what are the things that you should need to keep in your mind for such kind of positions. So let it over to the sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Shubham, and good morning, all. It's nice to see you. And present my, I'll share my screen now. So, are you able to see my presentation?
Yes, sir. It is visible.
Okay. So, first of all, thank you for the introduction. And I think that you all would be attending the webinars, previous webinars, and you would have heard many speakers before also. And since I'm going to pursue my PhD in Canada, Dr. Veena and Dr. Smriti, they have already told you about the education system being there. So I would not repeat the same thing today. What I would do is I would tell you about my experiences, my journey from the day where I have started to find a doctoral program overseas. Okay, so this is just an introduction. It's so because rest of the things you have to do yourself. It's just a guidance, and whatever the questions you will be having, you may ask it at the end of presentation. Okay, so I'll directly come to the process that if you have something in your mind that you have to go abroad for your master's or your doctoral program. So first thing, before even finding the supervisor program, you have to do is you have to have a passport. Okay, this is necessary because you have to give GRE exam or English proficiency test such as IELTS or TOEFL or other exams like Duolingo. So it's necessary for you to get a passport as soon as possible. Okay, and if you should be very determined in your mind that yes, I have to go for a PG or masters or a doctoral study abroad, then only you will be successful, and the zeal would be maintained throughout the journey. If you are just giving it a hit and trial that okay, I might get it and I might not get it, let's see it, I'll just do whatever will come. Okay, so that zeal will somehow faint in the journey you will pursue. The first thing you have to do is you have to find a supervisor who is accepting the students for a particular term, such as fall or summer or winter, okay, or a program that is offered by a university. So while doing so, you should know that how to find a position or how to find a supervisor that is accepting the students. And are you flexible to choose a country? Because some students, they want to pursue their career after doing a PG or PhD in US or Canada or Australia or so. Okay, in some of the European countries. So if you are flexible in choosing a country, you may pursue your degree in any of these countries, keeping in mind that your work should be good. Then you have so much options. You will get so many opportunities to apply for the program. And are you eligible for the program? Okay, if you'll see any post that means studentship that is released by the university. Okay, so your research interest should be in matching with the work that is being going on in that lab. Okay, you can't just apply any of the post that is being released, or if a position is is available in the lab, You can't just apply to any of them. Okay. And the prerequisites to apply are, as I told you, you should get a password to for yourself to give GRE or other English proficiency test. And you should also keep in mind that how much it will cost you. Okay, so the time I applied for GRE, it was about 15,800 rupees in April 2021, and for IELTS it was 14,500 rupees. But it changes from time to time. Okay, I don't have any idea about TOEFL, but the cost is similar for both of the tests, I suppose. And when you find a supervisor or a program, you have to apply the program through the web form, or you have to mail to the supervisor. Okay, that is accepting the students. At that time, you should keep in mind that how to write a good email, how to make your CV, and what is letter of motivation, because universities often ask, and you have to provide a letter of motivation. Then once you will get a note from the supervisor that yes, you are welcome in my lab as a student, or you will get a letter from the program director that you are being accepted as a student, then you have to go for the online application process for admission. Okay, then also some costs will incur, and you should know about it. And at that time, you should have letter of recommendation that we will be talking about in subsequent slides. And you should be ready with your transcripts, although some relaxation is being given by the university if you are not having your transcripts with you at that time. And once you get the admission letter, then you can proceed for study visa. So the main question comes is how to find a PhD position overseas. And in my view, there were three methods, and which I used to find different positions. So first is to find a master's or PhD position which is offered by the university, or you can directly contact a supervisor through mail which is accepting students. Or the third thing is to find, hide it. Okay, to find a professional working in your research interest area. So in my case, actually what happens is that it does not matter that what you have done in your masters. You can diverge your research interest while going for a postdoctoral program or doctoral program. Okay, it's not necessary as we have in our education system that you have done masters in VGO, then you have to do PhD in VGO only. You might diversify yourself. So I was very interested in working with embryo or in andrology. Okay, so I had to find some of the professionals or supervisors that were working in that area. So how to find those particular persons that are working in the area of your research interest? We'll talk about it. So the first thing is that how to find a position which is offered by a university. So when you will go through the papers, different articles, you should ensure that you also see the affiliation of the person who is the first author or the last author. Okay, you will get an idea that good quality of work is being carried out in these institutes. So for example, it's the Pilbright Institute who has leading research in viral diseases. So you can directly go to the homepage. So what I would like to show you here is that when you go to the home page, you have to go for careers and learning and then education program. And after that, you will find a postgraduate studentship. Okay, so it's not very easy to just find a position. You have to dig the whole website after going to the web page of the institute. And the PhD studentships are being released in different forms, which I will be showing in the subsequent slides. So this was the closing date. They give a particular closing date, reference number, and they'll show, tell you that whether a PhD or master's position is available. Okay, then comes the supervisors. So whenever you will see the supervisors, you must go to their profile, means authentic profile, which is on that institute web page. Then you should see what are their latest publications, what type of research interest they have, or whether they have any collaborations with other universities, and whether they have received any grant, because they will be mentioning it very clearly in their web page. Okay, so it all shows that yes, they have a very good setup of lab, and they have leading research in that area. You can go to the project details, and if it matches with your research interest, then you can apply through it. So this is a web page through which I applied to a country, Estonia, in European Union. Okay, so I applied to Estonian University of Life Sciences there. But here I would like to show that they have a web page. So they say that you can search and apply for the post. Okay, you can find a program here. So suppose I searched for all of the institutions and I searched for graduate opportunity. So I used the keyword veterinary, and surprisingly you would not find any result. So here, if you have to find any of the positions for PhD or masters, you have to use different keywords such as agriculture sciences or animal, or suppose you are VPH student, then go for One Health, or you can go for keywords like cell biology, cell biochemistry. And if you have very narrow research interests such as neurobiology or something like that, you can search with these. So veterinary, the keyword does not work all the time, even though it's a veterinary research institute or veterinary institute. Okay, so these positions are being sometimes shown in this way, that they'll show that what is the time period of this degree, and what is the medium of study, and whether the tuition fees is being waived off for international students or not. Okay, you can get more information by clicking the tabs they give you, and then you can apply for through the web form. So in it's another example that the Tartu Healthcare College in Estonia was had a position for MA in radiography, but the tuition fees was not waived off. But again, you have to see that whether you are getting stipend from that university. If it is so, then you can pay the tuition fees, and also you can bear the cost of living there. Okay, and always keep in mind that you should apply a long time before the application deadline has reached, and they also show that when the studies are going to be started. Okay, so it's like fall 2021. So this was my personal experiences, that when I was searching for PhD position in Estonian College or University of Life Sciences, so I got the PhD studentship uh, advertisement in this form. Okay, they have given the PhD thesis topic, directly thesis topic they have given for admission 2021 to 22, and I was interested in these two projects because they were somewhat related to gynecology. So I just found out the person who is he, and how much, for how long he has been working in that area, and what is this project about, whether they have carried out some research before or it's a new project, so that I have to start from the beginning. Okay, and based on your research interest, then you can apply to any of these areas. This is another example of Texas A&M University in USA. So what you have to do is you have to go to the home page, and sometimes you will find these graduate positions or studentships under the heading graduate programs. Okay, sometimes you will get it inside career opportunities, sometimes in graduate programs, and in the subsequent slides you will see that sometimes they give it as a job. Okay, job opportunities or jobs. So here, since we are in the biomedical sciences, so most of us would be getting our research interest in this area, or otherwise students of public health, they can go to other tabs, or pharmacology students can search for different areas. Okay, so this was another university where I applied. Here I would like to show that the studentships are being offered as a job, not as a just being a position for a graduate student. These are different examples, and the one pertaining to us is, for example, postdoctoral position in economics of antimicrobial resistance in animals. Okay, you'll not find any keyword here like veterinary. So you have to be, again, I am saying that you have to be versatile in that. And here, Institute of Molecular Health Sciences in Department of Biology was offering this PhD position. It is showing it's 100%, means it is fully funded. You don't have to do anything, and they'll bear all the cost expenses um, of your degree, but it's a fixed term. You have to complete it in certain time period, which is being set up by the university. Okay, like that, you have to search different studentships. You will not get any of the studentships directly at one place. So this was, I would like to show that what happens when you apply through the web form. So when I applied through the web form in ETH Zurich, I got a confirmation email that yes, we have received your application. So these were the documents they have asked me to attach, which is CV, letter of motivation, letter of recommendation, and certificates. So certificates generally includes the transcripts and some of the certificates which make you stand out while telling why you are being motivated to apply for this position. Okay, we'll talk about it later. And again, some of the universities they provide job alerts in the form of subscription. So, for example, Wageningen University and Research they had an option that you can give your email address, and as soon as studentships come, they will just tell you through the mail. Okay, so never miss out these opportunities for subscription. So this was one way. The other way is to find a supervisor which is accepting the students. So here I have shown four supervisors. They have different status at that time, which when I have taken this screenshot. So one supervisor was accepting the inquiries while other was seeking the students. So those supervisors that accept the inquiries, it means that in future they might get a grant soon, or they might have suitable means. They have funds for supporting a graduate student. Okay, so you must keep on checking the website of these university or the profile of this person, and in the future there might be a chance that they will open a graduate position. Some of the professors or scientists they are unavailable, so you do not need to check the profile very frequently, or you should not contact to them directly via email. Okay, and again you have to see what are the research interests before emailing to the supervisor if it is seeking students. So this is a hit and trial method I did in Google, and I just typed the keywords like supervisor accepting students, PhD, United States. So I got this result. Okay, in University at Buffalo, in College of Arts and Sciences, again in Department of Psychology, they were accepting students for fall 2022. Okay, and they were having these faculties with these research interest. So this is not a very good method, but if you are sometime bored by searching through other methods, you can go for it. But the efficiency is very low, I am saying, because the results sometimes would be absurd in Google. So it may be a chance that you get faculty members those accept students at a particular time. So again, this was a person, a scientist that was accepting the students. I haven't given the name here, but here it was currently recruiting graduate students for genome to phenome PhD program. Okay, so other they have given the project details, and they have also specified the research areas. If you are interested, and if they are recruiting graduate students, and if you have some question about their project, although they give every information so that you don't have any problem, but you can mail to the person who is accepting the students for a particular term. So the third way is to find a professional working in your research interest area. What I meant here was that if I am interested to do work in andrology, so I have to find a very good position that in the lab which is focused on research in andrology. Okay, so I what I did was I subscribed to different journals such as Theliogenology, Animal Reproduction Science, etc., which were relevant to my subject through Science Direct, and every day they publish an article. I'll get a mail, and I can read the abstract here. And what I can do is that I can directly see the person who is leading this project. Okay, MSLUs, for example. I'll go to the institute where this work is being carried out. Okay, either if you are very interested in their work, you can email them, or you can for some time you can again and again visit their website and see whether a position is available or not. So similarly, you can see here that in Spain, in biotechnology of animal and human reproduction, a work was being carried out, and here you see that animal and human reproduction are being a combined department. Okay, there is no different separate department for that. So things are different from what we have in our country. So after coming to after discussing that how to find a position or how to get a supervisor, we will talk about the documents which we require for applying to a program. Okay, So these letter of motivation and cover letter are often being used synonymously or interchangeably, but it's not so. They are quite different. So the difference is that letter of motivation is generally used for academic purposes, but cover letter is used when we are applying for a job. Again, I have shown you in the previous slides that some universities they offer the PhD position, sometimes alone or sometimes along with graduate research assistantship. Okay, so they offer it as a job, then they will specify that you have to give cover letter. Otherwise, in most of the cases, you have to go with letter of motivation. So you have to tell them that why I want that set position, PG or masters or doctoral position, and you have to explain your reasons being in a specific career path. Suppose you have done masters in physiology, suppose, and if your work was in reproductive physiology, so from undergraduate, what were the things or what were the events that motivated you to pursue your career in reproductive physiology? And now, if you are applying to their lab, which is specifically a reproductive physiology lab, so what will be your goals or what you want to be in your future after doing your PhD? Means how you will be benefited being in their lab in reproductive physiology, and what's your vision for a long time. And you have to ask certain questions like why this program, particularly why you have applied to our lab, why this university, and why this country. Okay, so be very clear about it, and you have to tell about the previous experiences regarding the program that motivated you, whether you have met a person who is a lead researcher in that reproductive physiology area, or you have attended any conference, or you have uh, won any grants or awards that have motivated you. So you have to tell that how you are being motivated and why you are motivated. Okay, but in short, cover letters are being used for applying for a job, and since the resume is very short, so you have a chance to expand your resume through cover letter. Okay, and it also gives supervisor a chance to learn more about you, your achievements, and what you expect from the position or that particular job. But the common goal of letter of motivation and cover letter is that they have to persuade supervisor or program manager that you are the most suitable candidate for a set position. So we will talk about detail about letter of motivation, how to write it. So letter of motivation is sometimes written as letter of intent or letter of interest. Better it is that you limit it to one page, and you can exceed it to 1.5 page. It's okay, but you have to divide it in three paragraphs. First is introduction, then body, and conclusion. Okay, so in introduction you have to give personal information and why you are applying for and where. So for example, I would say I, Saurabh Tiwari, a veterinary graduate student from India, is applying for the said PhD position available in lab, your lab, or suppose reproductive physiology lab for fall term 2022. Okay, so you have to be specific that for which lab you are applying and for which term you are applying. You should not be over enthusiastic in your writing, and you should not use sentences like "It's have always been my dream to study in this university." Okay, you have to be enthusiastic to show that yes, you are motivated to be in their lab, but don't be too over enthusiastic. Be professional. Then second thing is that you have to write the body of the whole document. You have to mention the stories about your achievements, skills, passions for what you are applying for. So as I already have discussed that you have to tell whether you have met some person, you have got any grant, or whether what I wrote in my letter of motivation, since I was applying for reproductive physiology lab. So I have won national physiology quiz competition twice. So I mentioned it that yes, I was very interested to be a part of reproductive physiology lab because from undergraduation I have been in these competitions, and in masters also I have pursued my career, my research interest in this area. So you have to tell a story to them that what were your achievements and why you are so motivated to be in their lab or particular career path. Okay, so in conclusion, you have to be affirmative and gentle. You have to tell that yes, if I uh, if I would be selected as a candidate in your lab or a person in your lab, I would potentially contribute to the research which is being done there. It will benefit me also and also the institute, and I could work as an independent researcher. You have to give some of the reasons that yes, I have done my research in these areas, or I have read the research in this direction during my masters or whatever. Okay, always remember that you should never lie to your motivation letter also in your CV. Okay, these are two documents which are very important. These tells the supervisor that what who you are, what you are, and what are your research interests. You should never lie in your motivation letter. And there are so many templates available for letter of motivation, CV, how to write a mail to the supervisor. Okay, so do not copy from the internet, because in my interviews it's been my experience that all the supervisors, they told that they are getting 10, 15, 20 mails in a day. Okay, or they are receiving the documents from the web form. So in one go they'll recognize that you have copied it from the internet, or whether you have written it yourself. Is Are those your words or not? Okay, so do not copy from internet. Next, coming to cover letter, since it's not of much importance as you are applying for a academic position, so I would say it should be restricted to one page, and it should also have 2 to 3 paragraphs. Since you are applying for the job, first you should greet the person whom you are addressing, and in the opening and second paragraph, you should write that what were your achievements and why you are the suitable candidate for the exam. Okay, you have to tell them a story, and you can expand your resume there. You can tell more about the things, that how you reached. Means suppose you have worked as a teaching assistant for a. Am I audible, or is there any problem?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Okay, thank you. So you have to tell that suppose you have done you are you were SRF or GRF in any lab after your master's. So why you were there? What you have learned from there, and what you have learned from there. Now, what how these skills will help you in this job which they have given in the form of PhD. Okay, and in third paragraph you have to formally close it, and you can say things like I would look forward to listen from you, and so that I can potentially contribute to this position or PhD studentship. Okay, and again, do not flatter. You should be professional and mature. So important thing is how to prepare a CV. What makes a CV very attractive. So before knowing that what to do for a CV, you should know what not to do for a CV. For making a CV, do not bulk your CV with irrelevant details. So I'll give an example here. Suppose we have different sections in CV. So suppose there is a section for service activities or volunteering, or something to tell that you have been a leader in your life. Okay, so if I say that I have NCCB and C certificate in that thing, so it will make no sense to the supervisor, because they do not know what is NCC. Okay, they are from a different country, and even if they are from the same country, it might not relate the supervisor that you have a leadership quality. Again, if you have some publications, then suppose you are a co-author in any of the publication related to animal nutrition, and you have done your masters in gynecology, so it's not necessary to include that review article being a co-author, that yes, I have written this review. You should include only those publications that are related to your field. Okay, suppose I am from gynecology, so I have to write. I have to mention all only those articles which are related, research articles or review articles which are related to my field. Then do not idealize a CV template available online, because there are so many templates that are available these days. What people do is they just copy and paste, or we have some apps in Google Play Store. Okay, so do not try to make a CV from there. Just try to keep the CV as simple as possible. The background should be white, and the heading should be in, you know, bold and black, something like that. What I have experienced by making CV from that apps, that it's very colorful. They have, you know, uh, means it's not simple. You have to be simple in your CV. What should make an effect with the supervisor is your work, and not how you make the CV more attractive. Okay, by colors and everything. So what you have to do is you have to first write the name, date of birth, contact details. Usually, email ID will suffice, but you can also add contact number. And photograph what to do. So there was an incident that when I applied to one of the veterinary colleges in Japan, so there was a mistake that I didn't mention date of birth, and it should not have been done. But again, the supervisor was very generous. He just mailed me back to send a photograph and mention the date of birth. Okay, then we'll talk later. So the thing is that yes, things like date of birth should be mentioned, but photograph is, there's no need, or it's not necessary for you to put up photograph of yours in the CV. It will also take some space. So if the person is very interested, if he likes or she likes your academic credentials, she'll have a virtual meeting with you. Then she can see you. You don't need to have a photograph there. Then comes the academic qualifications. You have to highlight the qualifications or the degree which you have earned recently. Okay, if you have done masters recently, first you'll write about the masters and so subject. You'll write about the GPA and you will write about the institute from you have done. Suppose I have done it from ICR NDRI, so I'll not write ICR NDRI Karnal Haryana India. I'll just write ICR National Dairy Research Institute India, because you are representing your country. They do not need much things about that state or that city. Okay, and then you have to give a short description of the thesis work or the title of your thesis or the project where you have worked. Suppose I have done work in semen sexing project, so I would say that I have worked in the semen sexing project with this thesis title. It will give an overview that yes, you have uh, knowledge about this in this area. Then comes the most important thing, which they will be seeing in your CV, that is research skill. Okay. Again, I'll give my example because for me it's very easy to make you understand. Uh, is my PPT visible or there is some problem?
Yes, sir, it is visible.
Visible. Yes, it
Okay,
is
thank you.
visible, sir.
Thank you. So I would give an example here that research skills which are most important, they are to be put first. Suppose I am applying to a lab which is doing work in andrology, and I have also research interest and some skills which are related to andrology, so I'll put them first for okay, I'll put them first there. And since I am a gynecologist, I know how to do parectal examination, AI, then ultrasonography, follicular dynamics, something like that. Okay, I'll mention it, but I'll mention it later. Since you have earned your skills with a hard work, you should mention it. Okay, and but it should be like for what you are applying, it should be come first, and then the other skills can be used later. Okay. Then comes very important part, publications. Are publications necessary? So particularly if I say about PhD position, yes, publications are necessary. Why is it so? Because suppose you have published an article in a good impact journal, it will itself authenticate your work that yes, this article has gone through the peer review and then it is being published. Okay, they'll get the abstract of your article, the date in which it was published. So from the abstract they can see that what type of work you have done, what techniques you know about. These things they can very well relate to. Okay, so most important thing is that you should first mention about the research articles because you are applying for a research position. Then you can go for a review article and only the relevant one. Okay, try to maximize your research articles, then the review. And suppose if you have some case reports, if you are from a clinical subject, then you can mention your case reports, but it's not necessary that you give 10 or 20 of the case reports. It's good if you give one or two. This shows that you have some proficiency in clinical hand also. Okay. Then comes at last the popular press articles. So I would mention that popular particle articles, they can be given which are relevant to your area. And suppose I am from veterinary gynecology and obstetrics, I have done masters, so I can include any of the topic from veterinary gynecology and obstetrics. It does not need to be related to the research work that is being carried out in that particular lab. Okay, but three or four popular articles are enough if you give them. And we should mention a DOI of the published articles because it will help supervisor to directly view your article on the web. So important thing again comes is whether you have got any grants or scholarships. Why it is important? Because in abroad, uh, most of the things work on the basis of grants and scholarships. Suppose I am getting stipend at present, but still, what we have to do is we have to compete for another grants or scholarships each year, and they are very competitive. Okay, so if you have earned a scholarship or you have got a grant before, it shows your potential that you can again bring resources to that lab in future. So you should mention it. And posters, presentations, or awards that are relevant, they should be mentioned. And if you have any teaching experience or you have worked in a project as SRF, JRF, or some position like that, you should mention it. Okay, because in future, if along with PhD, if they have a position for graduate research assistant or teaching assistant, uh, they'll keep it in mind. Then workshops, trainings, and conferences you have attended. So it's better you mention the international conferences that you have attended, the hands-on training you have done, and the in-person workshops you have attended. Because in the COVID era, we have seen that there were so many workshops, trainings that were being conducted, but it makes a good impact that you have in-person attended that conference, training, or workshop. Okay, and again, volunteer or service activities which we have done, it may be anything, but it should be relevant. So in my case, what I did was during my b.v.sc third professional year, along with my batchmates, we did a radio program. We broadcasted every Sunday that program for livestock owners to help them know about the scientific livestock rearing. Okay, and the response was very overwhelming. So I just mentioned one of my service activities, but it was quite effective. So you don't need to make your CV very long for it to be effective. Write less, but it should have some impact. Okay. And if you may mention any of the relevant courses from UG or PG curriculum that have helped you in excelling that research skills during your masters or undergraduation. Then you should write all your CV in Times New Roman. It's best with a font size of 12 and double spacing. And try to bold or italicize the information that needs to be highlighted. Okay, and don't write your CV like just story. You have to divide it in suitable headings, as for example, I have shown it here. So next important thing is that when you know that you have all the documents ready with you, that is letter of motivation or CV, then how to mail that particular supervisor. The important thing which comes in front of that supervisor is the subject of the email which you have sent. Okay, so you have to use appropriate words. So example is request for master supervision in fall 2022. Or you can say if you have to inquire about a graduate position whether it's available or not in the lab, you can write that graduate position opportunity in lab for fall 2022. Something like that. They'll come to know that yes, you are asking for a supervision or graduate position. Then you have to address the supervisor. It's best that you can just write the name of dear, for example, dear J Cross, dear something in something. Or you can also write dear professor, then the name, dear doctor, the name. But the best would be just write the word dear and go with the name. In the introduction, you have to tell about yourself, the name, your country, and the qualifications and achievements relevant to the position. Okay, so it should be of 2 or 3 lines at maximum. Then the body of paragraph should mention your research interest, skills, experience. Okay, suppose I am applying for embryology, so I have to write something like that. I, Saurabh Tiwari, did a veterinary graduate from India. Um, I did my master's in veterinary gynecology and obstetrics in 2022, and I am applying to inquire about the graduate position available in your lab for fall 2022. So this would be the introduction. This would be sufficient for the introduction. And in the body paragraph, you have to write that during my masters, I have done so and so work, and I have gained this hands-on experience. I came to know about your research area through this and this means, and why I am so motivated. You have to write, and you have to show them your vision, that what you want to do after joining their lab. Okay, whether you want to be an academician after 4 years of PhD once you have completed in their lab, or you want to go in industry sector, etc. And in the last paragraph, you have to show your enthusiasm or passion to be a part of their research group. Okay. So in the closing statement, you will request the supervisor that please find attach these documents and evaluate my academic credentials for the set position. If it's released, then you can say that for the so and so position released on so and so date, you can give the reference number there. Do not lie and do not flatter in your email. And most important thing is proofreading. Okay, you should at least try to read your mail 2 or 3 times, correct the grammatical mistakes or spellings, and you can use Grammarly these days. Okay, and always update your CV if you have earned something, some award or some grant very recently, or a degree recently, then you should mention it. So what happens next when you apply through a program or when you mail to the supervisor? Okay, so there are two things. If you apply to the supervisor, you may or may not get a mail back from them. But if you apply through the web form for a set position from the university, okay, not directly to the supervisor, you will definitely get a reply that whether you are selected or not. But in case of supervisor, it is not a thing. So you should be active in checking the mails from time to time, and it's better to have a suitable and separate email ID so that you do not mess up. And it's better that you have your name in the initial words of that email ID. Okay, the supervisor may relate it to it. And if your supervisor finds your CV relevant to the lab, to the research interest in his or her lab, then you will get an email back from him or her. And then he'll ask about your transcripts, the scanned copies for cross checking the CV. Okay, so it will be a step by step process. It's not like just uh, that they'll jump to a virtual meetings. Okay, we set up a meeting and take your interview. No. Okay, they may ask in a same mail or in different mail. So in my different experiences, they have asked me 10 to 12 mails about each information. Then I have to reply to, then they'll reply to me something like that. And at last, we reached to a point where we have scheduled a virtual meeting. Okay, they'll ask about the funding information, whether you have a scholarship or not. So what happens if if you are inquiring about a graduate position in any of the lab, and if they do not have funds to support a new graduate student at that particular time, either they'll not reply to it because they would be very busy, or they would be getting lots of and lots of mail. Okay, or they'll reply that sorry, or it's unfortunate that we do not have a position until 2023 2022, so you please apply in that year or that term. Okay, and if you have scholarship, then no supervisor will prevent you from getting your degree from that lab, because money, or you can say funding, is the main important thing which is required for a good research. And if you have that scholarship, everyone will welcome you. If you have not attached any proof of English proficiency test or GRE, they'll ask an update about it, that when you are going to give it, and are you confident that you will score and meet the requirements that are set up by that particular university. Then at last, they'll ask you that, are you interested in our virtual meeting? Okay, do you want to set up a meeting? Then it will happen only when a prospective funding is available. They are very interested in your CV, and they expect that they'll get a funding very soon. Then only this virtual meeting be scheduled. Or if you have a scholarship, they'll not hesitate to talk to you. So, what to do for scheduling a meeting? You have to show interest in scheduling it. That's why I said that you have to be active in checking your emails regularly. And the problems which I faced sometimes was I didn't had a LAN network at my home, so I either used to go to my friends who had the LAN network, or sometimes I used to go to my other friends' home, and I just tell them that if I have some network problem, I'll use your hotspot. So you should have a backup for the internet if any issue comes up. and you should always be signing 10 minutes early shows that you are very restrained and punctual. It should not be the scenario that the person is waiting for you and then you are entering. Okay, try to log in that meeting 15-20 minutes before. If you are having some problem, try to just write an email to the supervisor that so and so problem I am having from my end. So please bear with me and give me some time. And you should be properly dressed, sit in a well lit room, and there should be less disturbance. And go through your CV once because it's a document you have expressed yourself with. So I'll talk very shortly about the scholarships. You can go to Department of Higher Education and Ministry of Education and check for the external scholarships. These are various scholarships which are available for Indian students, but all of them will not be available for the students that are in medical or profession. Okay, you have to check your eligibility and you have to also keep in mind about the deadlines. The most common scholarships or famous scholarships are next, for example, it's for Japan, that for Germany, Chevening scholarship. Other Commonwealth scholarships are there, and British Council scholarships are there. So you have to dig the websites and one another way to know about the scholarships, what I have felt is that you use judicialist means you make an account on the LinkedIn and you search for the people who are from India and they are pursuing their degree abroad. So generally in their profile they'll mention that through this scholarship they have gone to that particular university. Okay. Then comes letter of recommendation that when you are officially applying to the university, they'll ask a letter of recommendation. It's a letter from the sorry. So it's a letter from the person you have worked with for a long time, and they'll be telling that yes, we recommend this student because he has so and so skills. Okay, it's better you prepare these letter of recommendation beforehand, and at max 3 letter of recommendations are required. Okay, and if you are applying for a PhD and you are a master's student already, then one letter of recommendation is necessary from your guide or advisor. Okay, I cannot say it's necessary, it depends on university, but it's very beneficial if you get it from your advisor or guide because he has guided you for more than a year. Then always ask the professor or scientist to mention their official email ID because it will authenticate it, such as @icr.gov.in instead of the Gmail ID. And sometimes the university will ask you to upload the letter of recommendation in the form of PDF, and in some way sometimes universities ask to means you have to provide the mail of the person which is recommending you, and they have to give answers to many questions in the mail which they will receive from the university. Once they will do it, then there will be the letter of recommendation will be submitted. Okay, so you have to keep in touch with those professors or scientists that are recommending you. Then applying to university following approval, suppose you have been approved by the program director or the supervisor. So you have to fill up certain forms, but you don't need to worry about it because supervisor will help you in that. Always be ahead of deadlines because in my case, only 4 days were left when I got gave an interview. I was means welcomed by the supervisor as a student in his lab, but he clearly told me that if you pass the deadline and you could not complete your forms and everything, I cannot do anything. Okay, so you have to be always keep in mind about the deadlines. Keep your transcripts ready. And what about the Duolingo means IELTS, TOEFL, or Duolingo scores and GRE scores? We'll discuss about in next slides. It's better you get prepared with it once you have been accepted by the university. And fee payment for the application processing is to be done. Why I have written transactions are tricky because me and other friends who are in abroad now they seem to face the same problem that we are doing transactions with a debit card. So it's just an information that if you have a credit card, the things make the means it becomes very easy for you to do the payment. So English proficiency test, you would have heard about TOEFL and IELTS, but Duolingo is a new test which was launched 2 years back in COVID era, and it's 165 marks exam. It's only 1 hour exam, and it's cheap. And the thing is, it's been accepted by many universities these days. Okay, but it is still gaining its importance in the academics in abroad. So you have to keep in mind that if you have reached a position where the means you have officially already applied to the university, you are now a student officially, but you have to give some kind of English proficiency test. So if they are accepting the Duolingo English test, you better go with it because it's very easy to give it. It's very user friendly, I say, and it's not that much costly as it is of IELTS. And if you are giving IELTS, then you should have a minimum of seven band score out of nine. Okay, cost I have mentioned it before, and this is a GRE score card. It is a sample card, so it's a 320 marks exam. It's better you get 290 or 300 marks or above. Okay, so there are three sections: verbal reasoning, quantitative reasoning, and analytical writing. This analytical writing you have to write essay, but it will not be counted in the final marks. What you have to focus is the verbal reasoning and the quantitative reasoning. If you were good in maths in ninth and 10th standard, then 2 and 2.5 months will be sufficient for you to prepare for this exam, and you will get a good GRE score. So at last, I would say that you should not give up, because what you seek is seeking you. And if previous speakers would have told you that at that time when they wrote to the supervisor, they didn't get a reply. But after months have passed, they got reply from the supervisor that yes, we have a graduate student opportunity present in our lab. Do you want to apply? Okay, so you may not be getting reply from the supervisors. If you write to 100 of the supervisors, you might get only 10 mails back from them. Okay, so thing is, why you are not getting the why you are not listening from the supervisors back through the mail, that there might not be any position available in their lab. Your skill sets might not be matching to the skill sets they require for the program. Okay, and sometimes that does your English proficiency test or GRE scores affect the decision. So I would say that it's better to have these scores with you, because if there are two people who are having the same academic credentials, but one have a score and one do not have, so the person who will be having the scores will be getting will be the considered as a suitable candidate. Then try to publish your master's work as soon as possible. Judiciously use the social media and especially LinkedIn, I would say. And if you have a scholarship to support, probably you can work in the lab you have dreamt of. So thank you for the patient listening, and you can ask questions if you desire.
Thank you so much, sir, for this wonderful presentation. It was very nice, sir. So, if you have any doubts, kindly write in the chat box, and you can clear away your doubts. Okay, the first doubt is if someone applying for masters in foreign university, how to write email in details because we won't have detailed research thesis or any description.
So it's not clear that whether you are applying for a master's position or PhD position, because if you are a master's student, you have already been in research before. Uh, Most of the universities do not ask for a research proposal. If you, I suppose that you are asking whether you have to provide a research proposal or not. Is it so?
No, no, it is written that the person should meet want to apply for the master's position in foreign university, and how to write email in details because we won't have detailed research thesis or any description.
Okay, so it's not always necessary. See, it's understood that you are just a graduate now and you don't have any experience uh, of research, but you can tell them that what motivated you to uh, to you be as a student in their lab. Okay, what you want to show them your vision, that why you want to be in their lab. That's it. It's not necessary that you have a research, but if you have some of the publications as co-authors in clinical case reports, or sometimes in BCP, you might be doing something, so you can ask your assistant professor to help you in writing a short article or something like that. It will show that yes, you have done your work in a good way during your BPS. Rest you don't need to tell them about your research, because it's understood you don't have much idea about it.
Any other queries? I think sir has cleared all the things. There are no queries. So, sir, it was very nice webinar and it is quite informative. Thanks for giving your
Thank you.
time.
Thank you so much, sir, for the webinar.
And I would like to thank Veticos to give me a platform.
It's
Uh,
a pleasure, sir.
there is a question I think in the chat box.
Yeah,
I have done my PhD in veterinary surgery and radiology. I am interested in postdoctoral in Australia. Can you specify any sites research?
Uh, I don't have any idea about the postdoctoral positions, but when I search for Australia, I know about Queensland University and University of Brisbane, University of Sydney. There were some positions for clinical subjects, I suppose, but I really don't have an idea about it. So you can go for, you can search the top ranked universities in Australia there, and then you can see that whether some biomedical sciences program is available or veterinary schools are there or not.
Okay. Now, first of all, okay. Then I have done my master's in veterinary microbiology, but my research interest has gradually developed more into veterinary cardiology. So shall I do more clinical work in cardiology to make my resume good enough to apply for PhD abroad?
Uh, since you are transit means there is a transition from preclinical to clinical subject, I would say that first thing is the type of work you would be doing there in cardiology's research, and not any kind of clinical hand you will be having there until you have applied for the licensing exam. Okay, so you can work as a GRF or SRF or some of the uh, research assistantship you can join in that particular area, but it is better that during that period, you get good publications out of it, and you should have something to show that yes, you have done some work in it. Okay, and also try to means if you have some interest in veterinary cardiology, so first see that what are the skill sets that are being required there. Okay, being a microbiologist, what were your skill sets and how it differs from what it is required for veterinary cardiologists. Then you progress to that skill set, gain them. In the meantime, you can also uh, collect information through means how you can pursue your career in cardiology. But in the meantime, the main thing is that they will see your skill sets. Okay, your passion is one thing, but yes, you should have done some of the work. For example, if you have done culture work in microbiology, for example, okay, then you can pursue your career in oncology, because you have to maintain the carcinogenic, sorry, you have to maintain the cancer cell lines, and so they'll consider your skill set as a master student in microbiologist if you go to oncology. So similarly, just I don't have any idea about the skill sets that would be required for being a research person in veterinary cardiology. So you search for it, that what's required for it, and you collect those skills, and then if possible you can document them in the form of publication, then it will be much helpful. I think it might help. The answer might help. Have a next question is that how to start the action plan for idea of going to get placed in, sir, in brief. So it depends if you have already done your masters or if you are still a master student. Okay, if you are a master student and you have started to think about I have to get a PhD position abroad, then you have ample of time. Okay, so just make a passport. I told you before, and clear means you have to target some of the universities. If you are very specific about the institutions, then go for English proficiency test. If you want to specifically go to USA, clear the GRE exam, and try to document your master's work as soon as possible. Okay, that you can do. Or otherwise, if you have already completed your masters, and you can take some time for yourself and you can join in any other positions, that time you can go for more publications. You can again get more skilled in your work, and then you can apply for a PhD position. So there are two ways: whether are you a master student now, or you have already completed your masters. So, to the reply to Garima is that I don't have any idea about the meat science studies. So, sorry, I cannot, means it would not be justified if I give you answer.
Okay, so next question is to become a member of American Veterinary Association of Microbiology, do we have to clear veterinary license exam?
Until and unless you are not handling the animal, you don't need to clear the licensing exam. Okay, you will be just conducting the research, and to collect samples. See, the research goes like that. Whether you are directly associated with the animals, or suppose you are collecting tissues or any milk sample or meat sample, from means tissue sample you are using, or any biological fluid you are using from the animal. Okay, so if I think it's not necessary for you to clear that veterinary licensing exam, because you are not directly related to the animal, and you have to take the samples only from that animal. So other people in the lab, they might help you. It's not necessary.
The next question is to apply in Japan, is it necessary to know Japanese language or there are any university which provide courses in full English and there is a licensing exam there?
Yeah. So when I applied to Japan, so the thing is there that in most of the countries, the medium of instruction is English. That's why they ask you to get IELTS score or TOEFL score. But once you have joined any university in Japan, you have to be. It's mandatory for you to do a course. Then they'll teach you the Japanese language, and then you can continue your coursework and research. Okay, it's not necessary that you already know Japanese. If it's good if you know it, but to the professor I had an interview with, he himself had done his masters in Germany, and PhD in USA. So he was very open about it, and he told me that yes, you have to learn Japanese here, but it's not necessary. If you have IELTS score, that's sufficient, and many international students join every year, so it's not necessary for you to know Japanese beforehand.
Okay, the next question is to pursue a master's research in surgery as a subject, do we need to pass the licensing exam?
No, means if you are strictly in a research, and if you are not directly related to animals, means uh, if you are you don't have to do surgery or something like that. For example, I'm not very sure about it. For example, if you have to do, sometimes what happens is that surgery students, they do work in lab animals. Okay, it's not that being a research scholar in surgery you have to be with large animals. So even if you have secured a position in masters in veterinary surgery in any of the institutes, then it's not necessary that you have to work with that the large animal, you have to work with lab animals, and for that you have to go a 6 month with 6 months, coursework like thing to how to handle them and how to conduct experiments on them. It's necessary. But if you don't pass a licensing exam, then definitely you will not work with large animals. But if you have to work with large animals and particularly you have to do any kind of surgery, then you have to have passed the licensing exam. Okay. Otherwise, your work would be on cell culture, something like stem cell culture, if we say stem cells or mesenchymal stem cells, and then you'll see how it will help to regenerate a tissue or something like that. Surgery is not like just giving anesthesia or giving an incision on the animal there. Okay, research is mainly focused on means using lab animals too there, so you can work in lab animals. In the meantime, you can clear the licensing exam for future if you need to.
Okay. Uh, any other questions? So I think we don't have any questions. If we have any other question, then you can write in the mail to me or to Rahul sir or to Vertigos, or you can write to directly to Saurabh sir. I will share his mail ID. Uh, thank you everyone for giving your time and joining the webinar. Thank you Saurabh sir for sparing your
Thank
time.
you, everyone. Thank
I
you.
know you are quite busy nowadays, but thanks.
Yeah, have a good
And
day.
yes, yes, wishing you the same.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone.